Welcome to the Talking Shh podcast. That's right. We'll be talking about music, albums, live shows, bands we love, bands not so much. Again, we're talking shh. Join me, Scott Nokon, and Stephen James. Hey guys, we are back. I almost said the wrong show again, Stephen, but this is Talking Shh. Talking shh. I know where I'm at. I was all prepared and we're good to go. And I always ramble to start the show, so at least we're consistent. But welcome to our Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nomination special.
Cool.
It's going to be special. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame has just announced its latest class of nominees, and we're here to S all over them. We're here to break it down. You know, legendary icons to maybe some long overdue first timers, definitely some snubs. So we'll dive into who made the cut, biggest surprises, and like I said, the inevitable snubs that we're typically talking about, fans are talking about. So in that, when you listen to this show, when you watch this show, and it'll be posted just in a couple of days. So it'll be on Spotify, wherever you can stream. It'll be on the old tube. So you'll see us here. You'll see us here and leave comments down there in regard to, you know, what do you think? So we want to hear about it. So we're going to jump right into it. But again, stay tuned for the whole episode. Hit that subscribe button and let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
So Stephen, I'm sure you have, because we have do extensive planning for this show. So you've gone through this list.
Absolutely.
Go. I was going to announce the 14.
Well, I think that when you first sent it to me, I was like going and I was a little taken aback by some of it. And you and I had made a few comments about one band on there. And
for sure.
I think some of it influenced, but we'll talk about that too.
We'll see. Exactly. I think, you know, time and place matters. Recent concert announcements matter. News, whatever. Does it stay in the does it kind of make its way out there and be in the kind of the aura and in the arena of those that are voting? So we're going to announce 14 nominees first for the class of 2025. It's a diverse list
for sure
of artists spanning various genres and eras. And here are the nominees.
Let's do it. Drum roll, please. I have my sticks.
Bad Company. Classic rock hits like Feel Like Making Love and Can't Get Enough.
Well,
Bad Company, I'm okay with that. And I'll go through this and then we'll comment in a little bit more detail. How's that, Stephen? Black Crowes, She Talks to Angels, Hard to Handle. Mariah Carey, pop and R&B singer, not rock. 19 number one hits, so certainly has been popular, clearly, and has had a lot of success. This is going way back. Chubby Checker.
Wow.
You know,
well deserved.
Popularizing the twist. Joe Cocker, a soulful vocalist, with help from with a little help from my friends. I need a little help from you, Stephen, to get through this. And you are so beautiful.
I'm your wingman.
You are. Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, White Wedding. Love Billy Idol. That's great. Joy Division, New Order. They always kind of group those together.
Sorry, I'm so rudely interrupt you all the time. No. Billy Idol and Joan Jett are going to go on a tour together, FYI. So
I saw that, and I want to go because they're coming through. They're playing downtown. I want to go too. Yeah, and they're probably going to play the Kia Forum or.
And the best part is I hate myself for loving you.
Yeah.
All right, never mind.
But I love rock and roll, so.
I do too.
Cyndi Lauper. I know you're a big fan. Girls just want to have fun. Steven just wants to have fun.
I always do. Back up one. Joy Division, New Order, we skipped.
Yeah, well, I started to say it. So Joy Division, New Order, influential post-punk electric band known for tracks as Love Will Tear Us Apart and Blue Monday, that was later covered by Orgy in the kind of late to mid-90s. Hello there, Orgy. Cyndi Lauper. I guess that makes sense, and we'll comment in a second. I know you're a big fan, so we'll dig into it a little bit. Mana, Latin rock. I know they're featured frequently in the Latin Grammys.
Absolutely.
So it's probably well deserved.
Yes.
I know the name. I don't know them. Oasis, Wonderwall, Don't Look Back in Anger. All right, I'm trying not to look back on this list in anger, so we'll keep going. Outcast. All right. Hey, Miss Jackson, couple songs.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I can't stop commenting now, so I'll just do it.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't know.
I don't
Like
either.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Major Impact,
Yeah.
Hey Ya was all over the place in what, 94, 95, maybe 98. I got to look at the exact dates, but really, I don't know. Fish, Jam Band, Soundgarden, yes. Saw a post yesterday when they had all these the 14 nominees and there were lines through everything but Soundgarden, and they go, that's it. I think it's well deserved. So we'll see. And the White Stripes. I don't know. Seven Nation Army you hear at every sporting event, on TV or if you go to it, but we'll see.
Fun fact for that song.
Yeah.
Why he named it Seven Nation Army, because when he was a kid, he couldn't say the Salvation Army.
Okay.
So he said Seven Nation Army. So
maybe that alone could be the reason.
Fun fact.
Yeah. Real quick on the criteria, clearly it's not rock and roll, but aside from that, to be eligible for nomination, an artist commercial recording must be at least 25 years old, meaning all nominees released their initial songs by 2000. Final list of inductees will be announced April 2025, following votes from an international panel of artists, historians, music industry professionals. Additionally, fans can participate in the selection process through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame official fan vote at vote.rockhall.com. The introduction ceremony is scheduled for the fall of 2025, celebrating the artist's contributions to the music industry.
I just have to take a quick time out. For those of you that keep seeing me looking down, I've got my phone here is where I have my research. Last episode we did, I had it sitting on my snare drum down here, and I was like this. So when you guys see me looking down, I'm just looking at research. So I try to keep it up close so that I'm a little more engaged. So if it seems rude, please don't take it as offense. I'm just looking at the information.
I don't think anyone is. I think we're trying to do that. So let's talk about the list, and then we'll jump into snubs after that. So
for sure,
in that, I don't know. After a while, it gets kind of played out, gets kind of old to bash on the Grammys and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, because for me personally, my expectations have pretty much just dwindled away. There we go.
Yeah,
dwindled away into anything expecting this is what I want and I like, and this is what should be on there. I get it. It's a vast array of artists. So Stephen, anything stand out on those nominees? And then after that, we'll get into snubs, which I may have a stronger opinion on.
Well, I would really like that if the rock and roll would define rock and roll. Not that bands that are making multi-millions or are popular or have all this kind of credibility, but it's rock and roll. So I think at this point, because of this, that, and the other in life, you have to include and be inclusive. With that, there's a couple in there that I just don't believe to be a part of that because of the not because of the snubs that we've experienced, but Fish, they're like the acid version of Dave Matthews Band in between some of the other acid bands my brother liked with the tie-dye shirts. Mariah Carey, again, I don't know if it's influence and how much you sell and how popular you are, because really her mainstay is the Christmas song every year. I don't want to get a copyright strike, so I'm not going to say it. But that and again, I'm honestly in the middle. Joy Division, New Order, I'm not completely a part of. Mana, I mean, they're rock and roll. I have heard a couple of their songs, but really the one that stands out for me the most is the White Stripes, because they're just so new. But who am I?
Yeah, and it's still, it's 25 years, so it is kind of wild that, 25 years, 25 years is 25 years, but it flies by. Like some of these bands you don't, realize have been around that long. And that's kind of the whole crazy aspect of it, because in that, is it just that 25 marker?
Right.
Well, to qualify, okay,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
then what does it mean? And I'm kind of curious here. So let's see if I can get some information. So Stephen, I'm using our Chat GPT friend.
Go ahead. And just real quick, Jack White is an amazing songwriter because he writes with a whole bunch of different people. I'm not
Absolutely.
saying they're not
Yeah.
deserving of it. I just think that some of the rock and roll bands that got snubbed could really have been in this list. And then you could kind of push out till next year. And again, there's a few of them on there that don't, to me, say rock and roll. And again, it's part of what's going on in our world right now is
Yeah.
inclusivity. So,
So
I'm
it is,
not
or it
against it.
isn't, right? So
Right.
so in that, so let me run through this. So we talked about the 14 artists, and we'll repeat those in a second, that were nominated again. And it's just it's an honor to be nominated, right, Stephen?
Absolutely.
So
Nice.
so in that, let me read through, and I punched this in, use a little AI, not too much of it, but a little AI. I wrote a prompt to qualify for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or wow, thank you. Define what qualifies an artist to be in the Hall of Fame. And here's the criteria that ChatGPT, not a sponsor. The 25-year rule, we've already talked about that. First commercial recording, single or album. Influence and significance. So now we're getting into something, maybe a little bit more weighted. Artists are evaluated based on their impact on rock and roll and music history. This includes their innovation, influence on other musicians, and contributions to the evolution of the genre. Okay. Musical excellence. The Hall of Fame considers an artist's body of work, musicianship, songwriting, and overall contribution to music. That's okay. 3. 4, genre expansion. While originally focused on rock music, the Hall has expanded to include artists from hip hop, R&B, country pop, and electronic music, recognizing their influence on rock and its evolution. All right, I'm okay with that.
Sure.
The voting process. Nomination committee selects a list of potential inductees. The list is then voted on by music industry experts, historians, and previous inductees.
Right.
A fan vote also contributes to the selection. Categories of induction. Okay. And we'll end on this part and then jump into some of the snubs, and obviously comment more, Stephen, on ones that have been included for nominees. But categories of induction: performer category, solo artists and bands who meet the criteria. There's 5 points above. A musical excellence award. So that's what Judas Priest was brought in, right? Two years ago on the musical excellence, I believe. Right. Early influence award. Could that be a Chubby Checker, right? Sure. Certainly you kind of throw back. They shaped rock and roll before its modern form. Yeah, he would fall into that.
For sure.
And the Met Erdogan Award, industry professionals who impacted rock's development. So that obviously could be someone that's maybe more of maybe a Dave Jordan, not this year, but maybe somewhere in the future that had an impact. So in that's the criteria. Debatable, but you're still voting on it. So there ends up being that. And like we talked about, you have the nominees, and now let's jump into the snubs,
which you sent me, and then I actually really like to watch. Well, I'm starting to get that. I really like to watch Rock Feed. Say that 5 times fast, and you get.
I really like to watch Rock Feed. 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 I really like to watch Rock Feed.
That wasn't fast enough.
That's all I got.
So you sent this to me, and I'm going to read it because it really hit home with me. Yeah. Sorry to Iron Maiden, Alice in Chains, Faith No More, Linkin Park, Motorhead, Korn, etc. Can't get nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this year. At least we got Mariah Carey. Thoughts?
Yeah. So to me, in those ones, and yes, I did send that to you. So let me bring that up real quick and comment on it, because again, no matter what, no one's ever going to be satisfied. Which, okay, I can live with that. But Iron Maiden, as far as significance, right? As far as the impact they've had on metal, it's kind of comical at this point. And the I was thinking about who could actually, yeah, I was talking about this on my radio show. Why does this seem recent? So give me a second to get my brain back together, Stephen. So talking about it two nights ago as we record on a Thursday. Doesn't matter, but here we are on a Thursday. And it's like, okay, who's gonna be an advocate?
My lovely wife just walked in the door.
Hello, lovely wife.
Hello,
who's
Scott.
going to advocate for the metal, right? Tom Morello. We'll
sure,
try.
Tom.
I would love to, but is Tom Morello going to do it? And I didn't realize this when we were talking about the Black Sabbath concert, which was an interesting angle. I'll throw back into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in a second here, as it relates to snubs. But Tom Morello, his role, as well as probably playing, is also kind of the music, I'll call it the music coordinator for that whole concert. So I'm interested, it's like you need someone to kind of project manage and kind of pull it all together. So, he certainly knows a thing or two, a smart guy, for sure. But in that, like, is there going to be someone like him and maybe an Eddie Trunk, I mentioned that as well, that can really advocate for these bands? That's more, I know there's 13,000 members for the Grammys. I don't know how many are part of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm sure it's thousands, I would imagine, but someone's got to have a clue, right? And it took forever for Judas Priest, and for Iron Maiden, it just seems just a major miscarriage of justice, if I may go that far, as it relates to the impact and the influence on artists to this day. Motley Crue was another snub. You know what?
Which I don't get.
Yeah, it's when you look at it, recently, so we talked about how certain artists, because of reunion tours, Oasis, did that help their panache and get nominated? Possibly because they weren't being thought about. Yeah, wow. They weren't being thought of for years, where Motley Crue, I think, has kind of hurt their legacy after retiring. But you still can't deny what their impact was early on. Another snub, B-52. I am not a big fan. I know they had some big hits. So that to me, it's like, obviously, I think of this a little bit when it comes to sports and Hall of Fames, where it's like, yeah, you got to be limited. You have to be the best of the best. If you're letting everyone in, it kind of devalues the whole purpose of a Hall of Fame. And you probably can't say there would be a limit of only 100 members at some point in time, and you almost would be relegated out, right? Who knows? Because eventually you're going to walk through, and I like to eventually visit the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio. Think that'd be cool. A reason to go to Cleveland. That might be the only reason to go to Cleveland. Not hating on Cleveland, but just saying, in that would be certainly something to do. Everyone can't include another, and I'll run through these and then comment on this, Stephen.
Real quick, or rename it the Music Hall of Fame. I mean, rock and roll has a big diversity. There's a really interesting interview I saw. There's a guy named Zane that does interviews on Apple TV or Apple Music. Really good interviews this guy does. And we're talking to U2, which again, a lot of people don't like. And Bono refers to their band as rock and roll. So I think everybody has a different definition of what is rock and roll.
Yeah.
Does it make you move? Does it make you rock and groove out? Yeah, there's a handful on that list that I go, hey, yeah, I like that. And then there's probably a third that I just go, nope, it doesn't move me.
Yeah.
So it's just my opinion, folks. Don't get pissed. We all have one, but rock and roll. So what does that mean to everybody that's getting nominated into this group of talented musicians, of course? But when you see the likes, and I'm not talking crap about Soundgarden, because Soundgarden was brilliant, but to snub Iron Maiden over that, to me, it just rubs me the wrong way, and I have a little bit of heartburn over that.
Yeah. So, before I continue with the snubs, Um, again, using our little AI friend here, Stephen. What is rock and roll?
Ooh, interesting. Okay.
Rock and roll, genre of popular music that originated in the United States in the 90s and early 50s. Originated. So you look back at the Chubby Checkers and those old stars, classic stars. Yeah, okay, part of it. Blending elements of blues, R&B, country, and gospel music. Those are the origins. That is stated. That's factual. So it all originated from that, right? It quickly evolved into a cultural movement that shaped music, fashion, and attitudes for generations. Okay, this will be fun. Key characteristics of rock and roll: driving rhythms and backbeat. Rock and roll is known for its strong 4/4 beat with an emphasis on the second and fourth beats. The backbeat, often driven by drums and rhythm guitar, electric guitars, and amplified sound. The genre popularized the electric guitar, featuring riffs, solos, and distortion. Energetic vocals and rebellion. I love some of these descriptions. Yeah. Rebellion.
It is funny.
But many rock and roll lyrics express themes of youth, love, freedom, and rebellion against societal norms. Sure. Influence from blues and R&B. So now we're weaving it all back in when you look at what are the characteristics of rock and roll. Rock and roll borrowed melodies, chord progressions, and vocal styles from the blues and early R&B. Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. Cultural and social impact played a significant role in breaking racial barriers in music, uniting black and white audiences and artists. Early pioneers: Chuck Berry, Elvis Presley, Little Richard, Buddy Holly, Fats Domino, Jerry Lee Lewis. Evolution of rock and roll into music: classic rock, hard rock, psychedelic rock, punk rock, heavy metal. Let me name some of these names really quick. Zeppelin and the Stones, part of it. AC/DC, Deep Purple, in the Doors, Pink Floyd, and the Ramones, Sex Pistols, in Black Sabbath, Judas Priest, in. However, interesting as you go down the evolution cycle, once you get into metal, there's something about it that I think is still viewed in a lesser importance to all these other styles, even though today, Stephen, 55 years ago today was the debut release of Black Sabbath. 55 years ago.
That just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around those.
No. So it's just in that it helped evolve. Anything more on there? No, I'll leave it at that. But it revolutionized music and pop culture. However, though, I still think there's something about, like, when it comes into metal, that's still marginalized for sure. I don't know. Is it just gatekeepers and elitists that think that it's lesser music, and so it doesn't warrant that? When you really break it down, it's some of the best musicians in the world. Other genres and styles absolutely can represent themselves, but yeah, you said it. Make this the Music Hall of Fame. Even if things were all derived from R&B and soul and different genres early on and shaped what became, you look at the tree of genres, even in metal, there's like 25 different subgenres. So it really just gets wilder and wilder.
And a few of the subgenres, which includes classic rock, punk, metal, alternative rock.
Yeah.
Shaping modern music in profound ways. And we had a really good show on Korn, shaping that whole, that they were the kings of that style of music, which put out amazing bands. So, Slipknot, and amongst others. I don't want to keep going back to that thing, but the subgenres of what this has put out. And when you look at that list that's put out, I don't see that subgenre.
Yeah.
Or genre. I mean, again, you got Mariah Carey, the likes of a few others. And I know one of the things I wanted to discuss, and we'll get to it at that point, is even Oasis. And you and I had, like I said, had a brief conversation about it last night. But, the subgenres doesn't say pop, rock, or, hip hop. Not that music's bad. I like all that kind of music. Yeah. But if you're going to name it, if you're gonna name it a Hall of Fame, you need to take rock and roll out of it. as far as I'm concerned.
No, I think, yeah, in that case, it's more than that. I guess I was kind of trying to make a point, with where the evolution is and
Yeah,
the early
absolutely.
pioneers, and it weaves together, but still, I think that you end up kind of leaving some at the front door. Let me
Right.
cite a couple more. Corn. You mentioned corn, so they would have qualified. It's been over 25 years.
Yep.
It's been 31 years. Impact wise, pretty much established a whole new genre. Other bands, huge successful bands, influenced that fits almost to a T what
Right.
would be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll see about that. Smashing Pumpkins, snubbed this year. Pixies, In Excess. Yeah, I don't know. Good songs, but really, Hall of Fame worthy. Commodores, Commodores, they've doubled their time frame, right, from being eligible as a nominee. Lionel Richie is included as a solo artist, but this right here, and we'll go back and talk about Oasis in a second, but before we wrap up on this show, Stephen, I want to say, to me, and there's two in just of the history, and I'll highlight these and comment on these. Personally, my personal opinion, of the two biggest snubs there are: Ronnie James Dio, not
Yeah.
included when Sabbath was inducted, which you always look at the lineups that are included, and it's always a little questionable. I've never really understood, some of it's kind of maybe obvious, dare I say that, but other times it doesn't make sense. Mob Rules, Heaven and Hell,
For
those to
sure.
me are the top Sabbath records. Again, in my opinion,
I
for
agree
for
with
all,
you
for
on
all
that.
that matters. But as far as Dio, but then not being nominated as a solo artist is just wild. And this one probably stands out across all other genres and artists as just one of the bigger head scratchers. He's in as a member of Genesis, but Phil Collins, he is not inducted as a solo artist.
That's
It's
travesty.
Yeah, and in that, and again, there's a recent, through Drumeo, which does fantastic productions. They did a whole,
So amazing.
yeah, did a whole feature on Phil, and his son
Yeah.
was in there, who kind of served as not kind of Nick. He interviewed his dad, and so it was really cool. They were setting up old equipment, talking about it, but in that, you had a much deeper appreciation. I remember after watching that, I did a deep dive on YouTube, which you're influencing me on that, Stephen. I watched a whole Saturday morning, tons of Genesis and Phil Collins videos, and
Good
always been a
stuff.
fan. But it's like, are you effing kidding me? I go, how
Yeah.
is this guy
Yeah.
not in? As a not just as a vocalist, but as a drummer, and the impact he's had on. So again, it's wildly, insanely difficult to understand how all this comes together. With that, let's circle back to Oasis, because you shared some comments when we were offline as well on why you thought they were included now as a nominee.
So and again, everything that we say is
Oh, it's
opinionated.
us. Totally. Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it
Comment
has to
below.
be
That's
this
fine.
way and we're
Yeah.
gonna put our thumb on you. But the reuniting of the brothers that have fought and fought and fought and broken up, and now I guess they're getting ready to do dates here, which I don't want to pay $700 a ticket to go see that. If you think about Oasis, you're like, I can name how many songs from Oasis? Two or three. Wonderwall,
Champagne Supernova.
and Don't Talk Back in Anger. I don't, and other than that, I don't know any of their other songs.
Yeah.
So to me, is it an influential thing that because they got back together, now they're nominated? So that's where I think, and I think Kiss was very vocal about how it's so tweaky. Like, is it fixed? When you look back a little bit, and I want to don't take too much time on this, but like
Nope.
let's say Deep Purple, for instance. They got nominated in 2016. Why are they different from the rock and roll bands like Ozzy, Black Sabbath? I mean,
Yeah.
who influenced who? Yeah, Deep Purple's a great band, but let's look at this new thing about if Oasis is going to reunite and Ozzy and Black Sabbath are going to reunite. What, did they just miss it by a couple of weeks? So I think there's a little bit of some, I don't know, tweaky
Yeah,
stuff
it
going on.
is. It is kind of questionable, right? And to your point, Deep Purple, as you just said, inducted in 2016, and with Lars doing the honors of inducting them. Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Why did it take so long? What changed at that point? Are there folks that are making deals behind the scenes, or are there individuals that are lobbying and pitching? Yeah, I'm sure. There's probably a political aspect to it, as there is in most things we deal with. But when it comes down to it, it's just like, okay, fine. So you finally made your point. Why are you more deserving, in 2016 than, okay, when they started, what, 68? So they would have been eligible in 25 years by late 90s. Yeah, I don't get it. And I guess every year it's just one of those things where after a while, do you just kind of wear down certain people and then you finally get in?
Or do they like the controversy because the White Stripes? I mean, come on. There's
Yeah,
20 plus bands that well deserve. And again, I'm not saying they don't deserve it, but just not now.
no, and I don't get it. So maybe that's something. And again, if you guys are watching this, guys and gals, if you're
Absolutely.
watching this, listening to it, and you have a little bit more insight into the kind of what goes on behind the curtain,
Yeah.
let us know. Thanks again for tuning in to the show. We'll be back every week with a brand new episode. Make sure you check us out on Instagram at Talking Show, and also listen on Spotify or wherever you can stream a podcast. See ya.